out on my bike, where the long lorries play, with the weather we've seen, rides are few and far between, but I'm riding my bike today. Good morning everybody, Cam Biker here, and it's lovely, 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 lovely. Well, compared to what it's been hammering down with rain all week, which has been great because it's washed away all of the salt that the council's put down. And then it was windy yesterday and that's blown away all of the water, well, most of it anyway. So it's dry and it's relatively warm at a heady 10 degrees C. So I'm coming out for a ride. First ride of February, only my second ride of the year. This is unacceptable. I must work less. Some might say that's not possible. Anyway, I have a topic for today. Over the Christmas period, end of the year, the DVSA put a new article out on the website, started publicising it, and it spread all across the social media mediocrities about changes that they're considering making to the CBT and to riding, learning to ride in general. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about it and then tell you how you can have your say, just in case you've missed it. So basically what they've said is there's too many deaths on the road. There's too many deaths on the road in general. I think there's well over 8,000 deaths over the last 5 years on the roads in this country, which is quite a lot. Not as many as I thought it'd be, but quite a lot nonetheless. And of those deaths, 21%, they tell us, were motorcyclists. The number that's on the website is 1,763 people were killed on motorbikes over the last 5 years, which is roughly one a day. So they said they want to do something about it, and what they're going to do is look at the way that they do the tests and the way they do training and the way they do the CBT. For those of you who don't know what the CBT is, it's I was going to say a test, but it's not a test, it's a course. So everybody does it when they're learning to ride a bike now in the UK. I did mine. I rang up the test centre, or the training organisation, sorry, test centre doesn't get involved in it at all. It's all done by the training organisations. Licence-wise, you can go from a CBT to a licence with a pair of tests, and then depending on what licence you get and what age you are, after some time on the bike or when you reach a certain age, you might have to do another couple of tests to be able to ride a bigger bike, and potentially another couple of tests to ride any bike you like. And then you've got your final kind of motorcycle A certificate where you can ride anything with two wheels. Now, there are some problems with that they're trying to address, so I'm going to just go through what the key points were. Although there are some more, there's all sorts of stuff about how they certify training organisations and all that kind of stuff, but that's boring. There were a few key points. So key point number one is the CBT licence, because you're actually on a provisional licence at that point, not a full driving or motorcycle licence. As I understand it, you can pretty much get as many points as you like. So you can get done for speeding, you can get done for reckless riding, all these kind of things. And I think you can pretty much get as many points as you like, and you get fine after fine after fine, but you don't lose your CBT right now. If you upgrade to a test, you actually do your test, apparently you do transfer the points with you, which means you can actually get a test and get a licence with more points on it than you're allowed to get on a licence. There's some weirdness about that I don't fully understand. Enlighten me if you will, but they're saying if you get to 6 points, they would take your CBT off you. Presumably you'll be allowed to do it again at some point, probably after a short ban. Obviously the details aren't there because it's just a proposal at the minute. Now, I think that's a fantastic idea. I don't understand why people would be against that. It seems to me that a lot of people that give bikers a bad name are the ones mucking about on CBTs. There are a lot who there are a lot as well on full licenses. Like, you know, I'm not saying it's just a certain set of people, but quite often when you go out, you'll see somebody on a CBT and they'll do something really dangerous, probably show it off because they're young. and we all showed off when we were young. And again, nothing against being young, I remember it well, but we all do stupid things when we're young, but when you're doing stupid things on a couple of hundred kilos of bike, then you can kill people. So I think that that kind of thing is a good idea. If it works like a license where it lasts 5 years and then the points come off, brilliant. By then, it's my opinion, you should have taken your test, but some people carry on doing CBT after CBT, despite that being more expensive. Makes no sense to me. Except that when you're young, you can't jump up onto a big bike straight away. You've got to stick with a 125 after your test. So I think that's a good proposal. Okay, so the second key proposal. Now this one makes it harder to get a CBT, marginally, only marginally. And it makes it slightly more expensive to get a CBT, but only slightly. And it is the idea that you do your theory test before you're allowed to ride on a CBT. So when you're doing a full test in this country, before you do your practical 2 tests, you have to have a theory test. It's not hard. You go to a test centre, hopefully you've learnt all your highway code, you know the rules of the road, and you go and do some multiple choice questions to prove that you know at least some of the rules of the road. There's also a hazard perception test in there, which everybody should have to do, because it's amazing how many people can't spot a hazard when they are huge. It's amazing how many people slam on the brakes for something that they could have seen a minute earlier, but they just didn't spot it. Amazing how many people like this guy would go right up to the back of that hazard turning left, rather than just ease off a bit and then have to swerve around it like he did. So you don't have to do that for a CBT, which means basically you don't have to do any test at all to get on a machine that can kill people and ride it on a road. I think that's silly. Now, if the aim of this set of new proposals is to get better training and to get more people to do the test, and presumably the theory test done as a CBT will carry through and you have to have that for the test anyway, then I don't see the problem. Granted, you'll probably have to do a theory test every 2 years if you decide not to do your test, but I think that's a small price to pay for the general safety of everybody out on the road. And if you do think that's harsh, remember, doing your couple of tests is not really much more expensive than doing your CBT. I've heard it argued the test is more expensive because you have to do all the training, but that then suggests that it's fine to go on the road without having any training. Anyway, make what you will of that. Third big proposal, and it is only a minor one, this one, but I think it's actually worthwhile, and it brings the bike more in line with what a car test is like. And it's the third proposal is that if you take your test on a twist and go, then your CBT will only allow you to ride a non-geared bike. If you want to ride a geared bike, you have to do a CBT on a geared bike. Again, I don't see the problem with that. Seems eminently sensible to me. So they're the kind of 3 proposals that are the key ones as I saw them for the CBT, and I agree with them all. I'll be interested to get your opinion on it. Now, one of the other ones that was mentioned in there is to do with your proper test. And I mentioned earlier there's this horrible progression where you have to keep taking test after test after test. And it's actually the same tests, the same 2 tests, over and over again. Your mod 1 for handling, your mod 2 for road riding, just doing the same thing repeatedly. So they've got another proposal that's to do with the test. And I think this should hopefully encourage people to do the test early and get onto a 125 on a test, because why not? And they're doing proposals about removing the need to do the full test every time you want to upgrade. And they're asking questions about how do we deal with this. So, maybe it'll go back to the old style of it's automatic, or maybe they'll do what I'd like to see of just do the mod 1 again. Just prove you can handle the bigger bike, the very cheap kind of 20 quid test. Prove you can handle it because your road skills you've already built up and you're already doing it. That's my thoughts, and it'd be interesting to hear yours, but I'd also urge you not just to send your ideas in the comments below, although I always kind of say that, give me your comments below, but I would urge you to have your comments to the government. There's a website, I'll put the link in the notes under the video. There's a website where you can go to and you can fill in the questionnaire. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes if you're kind of thinking it nicely. And you've got until the 17th of February this year, 2017, to get that filled in and submitted. It's not often that the government asks you what you think. Not often to listen. But you've got a chance now, so get it filled in. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. Ride safe. And I'll talk to you all again soon.